In just 5 weeks, I'm gonna be running my second marathon ever. And so I wanna rewind time with a bit of a throwback, draw my life to show you guys what has happened in my running career ever since dropping out of college, to give you a little bit of context for this series that's gonna unfold over the next 5 weeks. For a quick prelog to get everybody caught up to speed, I started this YouTube channel my freshman year of college at William & Mary, and I was documenting my D1 college running experience. After a successful year of running, I just really wasn't content with the life that I had at William & Mary. Everybody was really focused on school, and I was really focused on this YouTube channel, and so I decided to drop out. It was one of the hardest decisions of my life, but still looking back, I find it one of the best decisions I've ever made, because immediately after I decided to buy a Sprinter van to travel across the country in. And at this time, I had been running, and I had just run a 10K in Portland as my final track race with William & Mary. And I was in shape. I had run like a 30:38 in Portland. I felt good, I felt fit, but I had nothing to train for. I just lost the program that I was training for. And so one night after building the van all day, I decided to look online and see what the Olympic standard was in the marathon. I saw that the trial standard was around 2:18, and I had no clue what type of time I could run in the marathon. So I was like, maybe I could kind of do that. I looked up the pace, it was like 5:28, and I was like, that's not that bad. Maybe it was 5:18, I don't really remember. And so that was my path in life. I was gonna train to try and make the Olympic trials in the marathon while traveling the country in my van, all while documenting it on this YouTube channel. And so that was my plan. I felt like it was a good plan at the time, and it gave me some structure in life until the marathon. So when I embarked on my van journey, I had this vision of stopping in Boulder, Colorado for a while. I don't know why, but really I think it was just the idea that it was some running hub. I don't even know if it really is. But the Tin Man Elite guys were there, and I really wanted to end up meeting them. And so I made my way to Colorado. Once I got there, I shot Drew Hunter a DM and tried to ask him to get coffee. And we ended up linking up and getting coffee, and he asked me about my marathon training. And the thing is that at the time, I didn't really have a training plan besides Jack Daniels, which is pretty gnarly stuff. And so he was like, dude, what if I trained you? And I was like, for sure. And so I ended up going over to his house that night, and he basically wrote out this whole training plan and took me under his wing. I did a lot of intense training in Boulder and eventually ran my marathon in Sacramento, but I missed the Olympic trials qualifier and ran 2:25:57. Still a really great time for my first marathon. After that race, I ended up flying home for the rest of December and then returning back to California in January. This was the beginning of the downfall of my running career. I didn't really have anything to train for, and I honestly was pretty beat up from all the intense training for the marathon. And I kind of just felt like my vision for everything that I was doing was moving away from running as much as it had built the entire life that I was living at the time. And I shunned this life of running away until Nike contacted me and asked me if they wanted to run this half marathon in LA that they were putting on. As soon as I was kind of getting back into running and had this vision of this race that I wanted to run, the world shut down and I ended up returning home, and I kind of just let running fall by the wayside again. As much as I needed the sport, I just couldn't will myself to do it, and I don't know, like it's something where I feel like I don't need it, but I really need it more than I really ever want to acknowledge. It's this backbone for everything that I do in a way that kind of just keeps me sane, it keeps me whole, it keeps me moving, it keeps me, I don't know, it just keeps me in line. So once everything with the pandemic subsided, I ended up moving out to LA full time. And once I got there, I was working on a bunch of different projects that were really distracting me from everything else I was doing, being this YouTube channel and many other little things. I basically just got completely distracted from everything, from a silly little business I was working on. And so that's just kind of what happened. I was also kind of caught in the whirlwind of like living in LA, and I didn't really know how to manage having all these new experiences and all these new people and all this stuff. And you know, it's taken a long time to kind of find my own and be able to be content with doing my own thing and moving in my own lane. Out here, there's just so many fun opportunities that you could either take or not take, or and it can waste all your time and you can get nothing done, as I found out. But again, I was astray from running, and I really had no goal with the sport. I was still exercising and going for runs at times and doing Murphs and going surfing and going biking, but I was never seriously training, which is something that is, really regimented, and it keeps you pretty balanced in life because no matter what, you have an obligation every single day to go out there and run. At the beginning of 2021, I signed with Hoka on a 6-month deal, and basically this was just to promote a bunch of products and share with you guys a brand that I love so much and have the ability to get paid to talk about something that I love so much. I love Hoka and all their shoes that they make and their clothing line. But at the time, my love for running was ebbing and flowing, and I just kind of didn't have a direction still. It was like I had this amazing backing and this amazing support system from Hoka, but I didn't have a race to run. I didn't have a goal. I didn't have this thing that I was training for. It's kind of weird, like it's hard to just run for no reason. And so at the end of those 6 months, Nike ended up hitting me up and asked me if I wanted to run the Chicago Marathon. I felt weird after just ending a contract with Hoka, but I felt like it would be an amazing opportunity to go out and get a marathon in. It really just felt amazing to be able to go from one brand to another that I love. I know it feels weird for you guys, me switching between them, but honestly, both of these brands are two of my favorite brands, and I wouldn't have done this if it was like Saucony or Asics or another brand that I don't love as much. Like Hoka and Nike are like my two brands, and as weird as it is to say, and as much as, both of them probably hate that I love both of them, it just is how it is, I love these two brands, and so when they presented this opportunity, I couldn't say no. And so that leads me to today, the Chicago Marathon. When I first started training for this, I had 14 weeks till my race. But I spent the first 7 of them lollygagging around and trying to get my Achilles to work, because after a really bad injury in my 8th grade year, as weird as it sounds, my Achilles just get really inflamed whenever I start training again. And so I had to kind of work through that. And also I just didn't realize that I actually had a marathon to run, so the weight of this situation did not hit me yet. But I went home a couple weeks ago and my mom was like, there's only 54 days till your marathon, did you know that? And I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? There's only 54 days? And so I kind of freaked out and I started training really, really hard. And since, training has gotten serious. I ran 62 miles 2 weeks ago, and last week I ended up running 74 miles on the week in 6 days. And this week I plan to run about the same amount, but then just in 7 days, so it'll be a little bit more chill on my body. But this is my Chicago Marathon training journal, but formerly we'll know this as the Chicago Project. Hopefully each week there'll be an episode that'll kind of update you with my training and things that have been happening and a workout and stuff like that to get you guys caught up to speed and get you guys amped for the Chicago Marathon that's coming up. I'm really excited for this one, and honestly, this is just a really big turning point in my running career, in which I'm getting to seriously focus on something that I really care about, and I'm really excited to bring you guys along for the journey. This is all for today, and I hope that you enjoyed the story. As usual, guys, live happy, be healthy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.